Right, try again. This is take 3, I think, because I made a mess the first one, deleted the second one. It was really good, so I'll try again. So this is a video on using the oscillators in a synth voice with audio input from Deluge synths that are already running. And if you're brave, you could actually do this live, but only if you're brave. The reason being, and I'll give you this warning now, the levels and things on this, you've got to watch the audio levels. What do I mean by that? Well, let's wire it up so you can see how it can be done, and we'll talk through it. So first of all, here I've got just a stereo tip ring sleeve into 2 mono jack sockets. For the left and the right, just really short cables here. Yeah, so that's the setup. One way to do it. So I would take the output, yellow left and black right, don't know why, and put those into the line in. And then I would take my audio out into the GoPro mixer I'm using here from the headphone socket. And there we have noise. I think that's possibly because that powers in, and the reason that powers in is because I've done this 3 times and the battery was already low. Let's turn the volume down. So that's one way to run it. It will work that way. It will also work if we reconfigure this. If we go from the output of the Deluge into the mixer that way, and use headphone to line in. So in that way you could then use the main outs also to the mixer. Also, you can use it from the headphone into the microphone. So you've got those 2 there. There's various ways you can do this. I'm going to use it just for, because I've got the cables, as the headphone out to my mixer in. That's all that cable's doing, headphone out to mixer in. And the left and right outputs, they go into this, which is that stereo, jack. So there we go. So that's the connector. If you can see that, stereo out, line in, but it could go into mic. Remember to put it on low to start with. And the headphone out goes to the mixer. So that's flipping ages, talking rubbish, but at least it's the setup, so you've got a chance to set it up so that it'll work in theory. We shall soon find out. So volumes down, wrong volume. Just turned the volume down on the mixer. Very professional. Warning, not very professional, not a professional level. So no idea why I did that accent. I just like it, I think. Right, so Deluge switched on. Do we have audio? We do. Load previous track I used twice before. Where do I get to that? Was it that one? Was it that one? Oh my word, I don't know which one it was. Maybe it was that one. Right, so let's turn that off and have a listen. Yeah, so that's it. So what's going to happen, this is going to be disjointed video a bit, perhaps, because now my brain's fried, but I have got a second section after this which shows more examples of it that I may or may not use, depends upon if I cover those again this way. So, starting now. What I have set up here, first synth is new synth, go to oscillator 1, change the type from square to in, left and right. Oscillator 2, change the type to in, left and right. Although you can change it to whatever you want. You can just have in left on one and in right on the other. You could just use one of the oscillator and turn the volumes down. So there's multiple configurations for that. Oscillator levels, this is at 30. We'll drop that down to 25 to start off with. Oscillator 1 at 25, oscillator 2 at 25. Right. The reason for that is all levels start lower and then are brought up because you get a feedback loop. So at the actual level of the clip here, I'm just going to drop that down to about half there. And that effectively, apart from these two notes I've put in, is it there. New synth, oscillator inputs, left and right. Drop the levels down, move on. Next track, make a synth. That is actually a kit, but it could be a synth. So I've got that drum kit there, standard drum kit, do whatever you want with that. And this is the synth. Hooray, you got something right. So we'll play it without, and then I'll bring in the glitchy thing, which is the through the cables at the back. I wonder if I can show those a bit more. Yeah, so through the cables at the back, those two tracks, which currently, I just checked the settings because I did mess about with some pan settings before. So pan set at 0. You can actually obviously alter pan and send one of the tracks left, the other one right. Messing about with that as well is fantastic. Let's have a listen. So that's what it sounds like just playing on its own without this track. So now we're going to add this track. In fact, first of all, what I'll do is I'll press a key. Can you hear anything going on? So I don't know if you can hear that in the background. Just putting the volume up cautiously, on a level up cautiously on this clip. So that's the sort of effect it has. But then you can add, let's take that off for the time being. But then you can add in notes. So if we now go to song and unmute it, so there you've got an effect already. Balancing these levels is really important because you can go super loud all of a sudden. So let's have a look at other things you can do with it. That's it basically. It makes that noise. However, let's have a look at other things we can do. So you can use the arpeggiator. So that, what you just heard there, the reason it does that is because you get an amplitude bounce up. When you get a loud noise like that, it's going to obviously blow speakers or hurt people's ears. So that's one of the brave or challenging or dodgy things to do. Maybe putting the Deluge through a limiter would help. But in and of itself, as long as you're cautious and try things first, that you can get some interesting sort of sounds. So we'll just play with that anyway. Keep the level down a bit. Maybe drop that level down. Yeah, and then we can go to slow down the repetitions on the arpeggiator. Slowly take the level up. and that will then begin to affect it. Have a lower level, go to saturation. You hear it start to come in now. And that's what you're looking for. You just get that level, and all of a sudden at a certain note, yeah, just to remind you what it sounds like without the influence of the feedback loop or the audio oscillator in. So that's without it. Now if we slow it right down and then bring this back in, and of course then you can put some repeats on. And now you're starting to get something more in the reverb area because of the copy signal. And of course mess about with the time of that. And all of a sudden you've got an ambient sort of something going on. Now just watch out, if you increase the speed of the repeats, you'll get that multiplication of the amplitude, so it goes a lot louder. And then we can change the number of octaves. And obviously put up the repetition. And at the moment I've got decimation on, so drop that off. I've got reverb on as well. And occasionally we'll get that. I've found that the Deluge will lock up if there's too much going on, so don't forget about your long tails and loudness, because long tails and loudness break stuff. See you later. Put some reverb on. So you've got that sort of possibility. If you go to saturation, just watch it for overdriving too much. You could even use the arpeggiator, I suppose, as well. Oh, there we go. And the reason for that is one of those notes might be one of the ones that causes a bit of amplitude multiplication. And then we'll go to turn it to 8. I wonder what happens if we change the gate. And then take this up to 30 seconds. There we go. Told you. Right, so if I drop down saturation, oh, saturation's off. So I can drop the level down a bit. and then we're balancing the level of this clip, the level of each of that's at 40, so if we drop that down to 30 and take this one up to 30, so just to remind you what it's like without that, nothing going on there for it, because this is just being this clip's only being affected by the input. So you could put another keyboard into the line in, and many people have done that and use an external keyboard as an oscillator. Well, using this method, you can use the Deluge itself as an oscillator in a limited way, but it's also quite a creative way, and I'm sure there's many ways to do things. Certainly I've not explored this very much. So if we can then go back to this clip, put that back on again, turn that one off, so I've muted that. Now we've just got that's the bass on its own. So if we just did let's just drop that down. And now if we go and turn this on, let's just turn the level down just in case it's, because it feeds, but it's a feedback loop you're creating here, and that's what's affecting the noise as well as the other parameters you set on the voice that you've chosen to use the inputs as the oscillators. So let's unmute that. Yeah, so you can really well, I mean, you can do anything to it, can't you? And you can hear the harmonics because of the feedback loop in the background. If I just turn that off, that's the track without the feedback loop, which is done through the oscillator left and right in, and then put it back on again. So go get creative. Might be a bit of a long video, but don't forget the warning. Levels, and get into some glitchy goodness. Thanks guys, see you later.